My name is Byron, and I participated in the 48-hour film project over 50 times, working on teams as well as on my own projects. Right now, my goal is to participate in the competition a few more times before retiring by the time I turn 40. I feel it's important for me to seek out new challenges. This competition has helped me overcome my travel phobia, make many new friends, and change my life in numerous positive ways. However, I've also had some very traumatizing experiences during my time with this competition. Recently, I saw a video essay discussing whether the 48-hour film project is worth competing in, and I want to create my own version of that. The answer is yes. The 48-hour film project is worth participating in because it inspires filmmakers to create movies. Many people hesitate to make films because they feel it's too difficult, too expensive, or they lack the right equipment. However, many famous filmmakers started with limited resources and improved their skills over time. This competition pushes those who are passionate about filmmaking to overcome their fears and dive into creating films. Most importantly, what you do after the competition is crucial. There are several positive reasons to participate in the 48-hour film project. It provides excellent networking opportunities. Many filmmakers have developed careers or even found life partners through this competition. Some participants treat it like an exam, practicing for months in advance to hone their skills and showcase what they can do. Nonetheless, there are things to be cautious about. You might encounter a toxic film community. For instance, in my local film committee, I faced comments about my race and experienced mental health discrimination. I've worked on sets characterized by unprofessionalism, sabotage, manipulation, bullying, and even fights. Additionally, the competition lacks adequate human resources. If problems arise between you and a city producer, they often ignore complaints unless the producer is new or easily replaceable. If you have a long-standing producer making money for the competition, your reasonable concerns may be dismissed, or worse, you could be blackballed. Building a team can be very challenging. I've used Craigslist and Facebook postings, and the 48-hour film project has its own Facebook group, which makes it easier to connect with others. However, you should expect some people to flake. When creating your script, always consider whether you can still proceed if a few team members drop out. For me, the best way to network is to engage with your local film community and discuss the competition. Attending pre-competition events is an excellent way to connect with others and get on the good side of city producers. If you struggle with social anxiety, I recommend watching YouTube videos on interpersonal and communication skills to improve. It's vital to develop good judgment regarding character and conflict resolution when forming a team. You can't afford to let strong personalities dominate your project. If you have good intuition about people, you'll thrive as a filmmaker. If not, you may struggle, as some individuals will definitely take advantage of you. When joining a team, my advice is to collaborate with friends from the film community first, as you already know them. If you're considering joining a team with someone new, ask your friends about that person's character. Look at their body of work. If it consists mostly of amateur films, it could indicate they're still learning or that there are issues on their sets. A phone conversation can also provide insight into their character. Ask them about their troubleshooting process or how they would handle problems. If they respond offensively or negatively, that's a red flag. Furthermore, if someone frequently discusses their personal life and stresses, it signals a lack of professionalism. When you have a bad experience with someone, it's important to learn how to let it go. It's similar to dating. If you notice negative traits, take them seriously. If someone disrespects you or cuts your contributions from a project, I advise against working with them again. If they have an assistant director or anyone else who supports their poor decisions, avoid collaborating with them as well. Filmmaking is often an ego-driven business, and you'll encounter individuals who thrive on manipulation or disrespect. When you face such experiences, it's crucial to know how to move on. Content is one of the significant challenges many people face during the 48-hour film project. You must decide whether you want your film to have an edgy PG or PG-13 rating. If you're participating in a horror competition, you can lean into R-rated content with violence. However, in general, the 48-hour film project frowns upon politically incorrect humor, disturbing themes, misogynistic content, sexual topics, animal abuse, guns, and humor akin to that found in South Park. It's essential to recognize that the 48-hour film project is not like the Academy Awards. Some may assume that pushing boundaries or creating politically incorrect content makes them cutting-edge filmmakers. However, films that receive Oscar nominations often do so for their boundary-crossing themes. While in this competition, you're less likely to win by going too far outside the lines. It's common for participants to express frustration, claiming that all the films are babyish or that the competition lacks depth because it doesn't embrace edgy material. This holds true even for serious subject matter. For instance, I work at a hospital where I witness racism firsthand, with patients using racial slurs. If I were to create a 48-hour film project piece addressing how hospitals teach employees to tolerate such behavior, complete with characters using offensive language, I might make a strong point, but the competition could choose not to screen my film or award it, citing that it could offend viewers. If I decide to take this risk without adhering to the competition's guidelines, I must accept the outcome and not adopt a mindset that labels the decision-makers as idiots for preferring safer films. Another critical aspect is keeping your ego in check. If you disagree with the films that win, whether you feel they're of mediocre quality or that the winners didn't work as hard as you did, it's vital to remain humble. Some individuals become arrogant, assuming that they will dominate the competition simply because they view many winning films as subpar. However, this often leads to disappointment, as their inflated ego can blind them to their own weaknesses. There may be exceptional films that don't receive recognition due to perceived unfairness in judging. Some years, the competition showcases a slew of mediocre entries, while other years may present a stronger lineup. The key is to challenge yourself and focus on your growth. If participating in this competition brings out the worst in your ego, it may not be worth your time. Moreover, it's important to note that you don't need awards or validation from the 48-hour film project to address your ego issues. Many people chase awards or become fixated on perceived unfairness, spending their lives trying to secure the grand prize as a way to cope with their sensitive egos. For your own happiness, you must be mindful of how deeply you let your ego influence your experience in this competition. Another thing to keep in mind is to avoid becoming addicted to the competition. If you continually participate, your work may stagnate. True growth in filmmaking comes from working on diverse projects and developing your skills over time. I remember feeling insulted by city producers for participating so frequently without seeing any improvement. If you become addicted, you might be viewed as someone who makes poor financial choices rather than as a serious filmmaker. Some city producers don't hesitate to create negative experiences for participants, discouraging them from returning. Don't let the competition define your journey. The entrance fee is between $150 and $180, which is quite high for a filmmaking competition. Many film festivals have lower fees or even free submissions, allowing for a full year to make a movie instead of rushing to complete it in a weekend. So, don't center your life around the 48-hour film project. Winning in the competition is tough and can lead to a toxic environment. Ultimately, the awards don't hold much value after the competition. They matter only if your work is truly exceptional. There are controversies regarding the judging process. While the competition is advertised as a meritocracy, many times, city producers influence the judging to further their agendas. The judging panel often favors friends, and some producers justify bias by stating that art is subjective. If the judging lacks fairness, why should the awards be valued? There are several other issues regarding awards that you should be cautious about, especially when it comes to becoming too obsessed with winning or losing. One of the significant issues is that many participants have faced unjustified disqualifications. I remember being disqualified from the Singapore competition because they claimed I exceeded the maximum time limit. Later, they admitted I hadn't. But instead of receiving a refund, I was simply told, "We all make mistakes." Others have reported similar experiences, where teams followed the rules but were nitpicked by city producers, leading to disqualifications that tarnished their experience and discouraged them from returning. Another concern is the prevalence of cheating in the competition. A friend who participated in the New Haven competition mentioned that he had written a few scripts in advance. Years ago, I almost joined a team in Cincinnati that boasted about using special effects, green screens, and pre-made scripts to ensure they were ready for any genre. They ended up winning Best Picture. One city producer once said that cheaters are rapscallions and cheaters always lose, which feels out of touch with reality. Additionally, city producers can exhibit bias towards certain teams, resulting in a significant level of cheating. Many participants treat these awards as gold, which can lead to an unhealthy obsession with the competition. It's easy to become frustrated when other teams win awards for what seems like inferior work. I've seen people win acting awards for delivering just a single line, or best film awarded to two individuals in a poorly lit room having a mundane conversation, while more ambitious projects go unnoticed. This can lead to feelings of bitterness and resentment, particularly when you believe that hard work and creativity should be rewarded over lackluster efforts. If you adopt a toxic mentality around awards, it can foster negative feelings that detract from your filmmaking journey. I've noticed that some cities, like San Jose, may have a small number of teams but offer numerous award categories. For instance, one year they had 20 teams but 12 different award categories, nominating 8 to 10 teams for each category. This approach can dilute the sense of achievement, making it feel more like a participation award. It's also crucial to understand the biases in the awards process. The 48-hour film project tends to favor women and children, operating under the philosophy that children, in particular, should be shielded from losing. There are also agendas at play. For example, a team of college students might have a better chance of winning simply because their school is invested in their participation. Conversely, an independent filmmaker like John Galt, who may produce superior work, might be overlooked because he's not associated with a recognized group. This localism can further skew the results, favoring community members over those with objectively better films. Ultimately, the most important takeaway is that personal growth and skill development matter far more than winning awards. It can be frustrating to hear the mantra that winning isn't everything, especially when you believe that hard work should be rewarded. However, personal biases often influence decisions, and it's essential to keep that in mind. After participating in the competition, it's vital to evaluate whether you want to continue. I suggest that if you're not genuinely interested in pursuing filmmaking but enjoy the competition, limit your participation to 2 times a year to avoid obsession. If you're serious about a filmmaking career, aim for a maximum of 3 competitions annually, dedicating the rest of your time to honing your craft on various film sets and projects. If you find that you dislike the competition or had a negative experience, it's best to let it go, regardless of your current skill level. Now, let's discuss how to handle bad experiences. I've faced disrespect from city producers, including comments about my skin color. When my film was nominated, one producer made snide remarks about my work. I initially reacted immaturely by venting on Facebook, but I realized I should have sent a professional email to the competition president, including screenshots of any inappropriate comments. If you feel you've been wronged by a city producer, it's often best not to return to the competition, as you risk being blackballed for speaking out. In addition to facing racial discrimination from a city producer, I encountered several other traumatic experiences during my time in the competition. One year, I shared with an audience that my films and ideas are deeply inspired by traumatic events in my life, including a near-fatal encounter with police officers and severe workplace bullying. My boss once laughed about my experience when my job was robbed, which led my struggles with suicidal thoughts. During this vulnerable moment, a city producer responded with chuckles and sarcastic gasps, making me feel belittled as I open up about my mental health struggles. Another challenging experience involved working with a filmmaker who made disparaging remarks about my work, questioning whether I want to create subpar films or truly pursue filmmaking. After collaborating on several projects, he expressed disdain for the competition, dismissing it as worthless. Ironically, he later positioned himself as a hero by helping an 11-year-old girl, while he and the city producer mocked me for having shared my ideas with him. This manipulation left me feeling undermined and isolated. Additionally, there was troubling news about the city producer, who was responsible for marriage licenses at City Hall. Allegations surfaced that she reported numerous Hispanic and Indian individuals to federal authorities, even inscribing happy hunting on official paperwork. In an asylum city like New Haven, this behavior was not only unethical, but also against the rules. Reports indicated that she extorted money from people by demanding $20 for additional assistance. Furthermore, she was known for her workplace bullying, making a scene when she left her job, claiming she had done nothing wrong. Photos of her smiling in the newspaper contrasted sharply with the serious allegations against her, which included abusing her power, breaching confidentiality, and misconduct. Ultimately, she retired just before an investigation could be completed, allowing her to secure her pension despite the numerous complaints against her. So it's evidential that you have to be a good judge of character, because there are filmmakers or city producers that can have a dark side. And then also, the way it goes with film festivals is that these businesses care about event runners who make money. So if people have bad experiences, they overlook it. So that's why it's important that if an event runner is unprofessional, I have nothing to do with them, and then possibly have nothing to do with the 48-hour film project. I remember the city producer saying at their event that they pull favorites with Mark Rupert. They give their city an unfair advantage. And during one of the screening, she would say on the microphone, "Do not lean against the projector on stage, or I will kill you into all the filmmakers participating." Another time, they said something like, "People can only tolerate me once a year." I remember another city producer saying something like, "All the films are bullshit, and none of these people are ever going to make it in Hollywood." And then that other city producer went on stage and was acting very supportive of everybody. So it's always important to let the headquarters know when these things happen. And sometimes you may have to report anonymously, or if you have a bunch of friends, you have to report these things anonymously as a group, so you get credibility from giving out multiple complaints. But importantly, it demonstrates that you need to avoid working with those city producers. But also pay attention to who is a nasty filmmaker that only cares about taking advantage of you. Avoid being petty about other successes. I recall someone criticizing a Best Picture winner for including a nude statue in their film. Instead of joining in the negativity, I reached out to that person to encourage them to let it go and conserve their energy. If you feel taken advantage of or cheated, consider creating a YouTube video about your experience. Honestly, sharing both the positives and the negatives can be therapeutic. However, it's crucial to know how to move on. Filmmaking is an industry filled with sensitive egos, and not everyone will be professional or kind. Sometimes, the best way to deal with difficult people is to turn the other cheek and focus on your projects. Overall, this competition is definitely worth it, but it's essential to learn from both good and bad experiences. Understanding how to navigate the challenges will help you manage whatever you encounter in your filmmaking journey.